Hey, greetings. How you doing there? I can hear the lightning outside. I love lightning, except when the power cuts out. I wanted to ask you a question, see what you think. Obviously, 2020 is like the strangest year ever. That combined with a ever-decreasing market share for professional in cameras. You notice that when companies get desperate, of course, Sony, Nikon, Canon and Fujifilm are always pretty much at each other's throat to have the latest and greatest. But with an even tighter budget of most photographers who are sticking with the gear that they have, and of course a lot of people are out of work, that what was tight in 2019 is really tight now. And when companies get desperate, what they do is they make mistakes. It turns out that and this is not about Canon, turns out the overheating problem, as has been reported less than like 12 hours ago, is far, far worse. It's actually being reported by DPR, and it's also being reported by EOS HD. EOS HD is actually a really good website. They kind of let everybody have it. I can't remember the guy's name that actually runs EOS HD, but he does not take any prisoners, and he will let any camera company, he will light them up, and doesn't take any prisoners. I like that. He lets the chips fall where they may. The point being is that, excuse me, that Canon made a glaring mistake. If reports are true, Canon knew about the overheating. But if anybody with half a brain, sorry I coughed there, would know that they should buy a Blackmagic or a Red or other video-centric devices, which of course have cooling devices. But Canon, in their infinite wisdom, as well as several other entities actually pushing the new R5, said it's a professional level video camera. You should actually go over and check EOS HD. It actually gives you clips from all the statements about countless entities calling the R5 Professional, but it's completely unreliable. It overheats. Now, there's a difference between overheating under the right circumstance. Well, so-and-so camera over... That's what all of you love to do in the comment. Well, so-and-so camera overheats. Yeah, under the absolute perfect condition it will, but apparently the overheating on the Canon is so nasty that even Sony is whistling past the graveyard in happiness because of the attention on Canon, and it's apparently an incredibly unreliable entity, and at $3,800 I can't blame people for complaining. So when companies get desperate, they make bold claims and they try to push the envelope a little too far. When you're on the leading edge, what happens is you usually get cut and bleed, and that seems to be what has happened to Canon, and from all indications it appears that there will be a recall. Nothing definite on that front, but there should be a recall on the new Canon R5, especially that kind of money. You just can't have something that darn unreliable for that price point. But hey, it's infinitely cheaper than a Blackmagic. It's like a poor man's Blackmagic or a really, really poor man's Red. But don't you enjoy, looking at the brighter side of this, if there is a brighter side to 2020, is that while less gear is rolling out, there's less... And to be honest, I know you think I'm a Fuji fanboy, but there's only one camera that's actually dropped that's, got everybody's attention this year, and that's the XT4. But don't you like the fact that the XT4 is so much more subdued on the gear lust front? There are less lenses. There's less cameras. It's because everybody's broke. It's because the camera companies are losing money hand over fist. That's not good. I don't cheer for that. But don't you enjoy the fact that you can just concentrate on going out and making your photography work for you with the gear that you've already got? And instead of lusting after cameras and lenses, and I've been saying this for years, but nobody appears to listen, why don't you just start making some of your own DIY light mods? Why don't you start collecting some professional lighting equipment? Possibly even a cheap used light meter. Well, all these camera companies are not really churning out hardly anything this year, too much to say. Why don't you concentrate on the important stuff? backdrops, light stands, monolights, battery packs, light mods, DIY light mods. The best light mods, even if you have an unlimited budget, are still DIY stuff. Dean Collins is my favorite photographer of all time. He's dead of cancer now. He was a corporate business and product photographer. I mean, he had access to all the free gear he wanted. The companies give it to him, but as was then, as is still today, the case, light mods like scrims and other things are just you make them yourself. I mean, to understand lighting, you just don't open up the B&H catalog and order XYZ light mod or scrim. You just don't. You should be making a lot of that stuff yourself. And that's not to save money, but it helps you to understand and learn lighting. This should be the year 2020 of all the horrible things that are going on and have gone on, especially in the photography world, where there's a shrinking market and nothing hardly new that's come out of note. That we concentrate on the photography and the things that we. Why don't you? And I'm as guilty of this as anybody. Practice Photoshop skills, learn more, and there's tons of DIY courses by Capture One themselves for training, advanced level training for Capture One. I'm actually taking some of those now, some of the oddball stuff that I didn't know before about Capture One, and it's nowhere near as bad as Photoshop, where you could spend a decade learning Photoshop and still only have scratched the surface of Photoshop, but that's what we should be doing right now. We should actually take this 2020 breath of fresh air, although 2020 has not been a breath of fresh air, but it's a breath of fresh air for photography that you don't have to worry about, the next greatest camera is about to roll out. Let's left after the next thing. The grass is always greener on the other side. So there's a sunny side to this dark cloud. So tell me what you think. I actually read every comment, as I've said to everybody before. Unlike other YouTubers, I actually do read every comment. Even the ones that are really nasty and mean. And then I go, oh, that's good. People love to get their rage out online, so. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. Goodbye.